Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with more. Well, we've not done more, but this is an episode. Was Monday's episode, but anyway, this is an episode about Native American code talkers, and these are code talkers are the um, Native American soldiers who would send secrets in Native American tongues to keep them from being decoded if they were ever caught by enemy, wherever caught by enemies, we'll say, during World War One and World War Two. Yeah. Um, and when you think about all this, you got to remember Native Americans had a completely different language set. Completely different from Europe and Asia and Africa. During World Wars One and Two, hundreds of Native American servicemen from more than 20 tribes used their indigenous languages to send secret coded messages enemies could never break, and they were known as code talkers. These men even helped U.S. forces achieve military victory in some of the greatest battles of the 20th century. So, yeah, 20 different tribes, 20 different languages. In the picture here are members of a squad from World War One that worked using Choctaw as their language. The most famous of the code talkers are often the Navajo. It's usually who you hear about first. They were in World War II. And yeah, apparently it would give the Nazis fits because they could not break the Native American languages. Um, Ultimately, approximately 534 American Indian code talkers were deployed in World War II. The U.S. Marine Corps, which operated the largest code talking program, sent approximately 420 Dine, uh, probably better known as Navajo, as we were just saying, the Navajo code talkers, language speakers to help in the war in the Pacific. In Europe, Comanche code talkers participated in the D-Day invasion of Nazi-occupied France, as well as many of the major campaigns that crushed the Third Reich. Frequently in 1940 and 1941, the Army recruited Comanche, Meskwaki, Chippewa, and Oneida language speakers to train as code talkers. The later added 8 Hopi speakers. In April of 1942, the Marine Corps trained 29 Navajo men in combat and radio communications. They went on to serve as the foundation of the largest code talking program in the military. Again, it's the one we hear most often about is the Navajo code talkers during World War II. The Corps, the group in the Marine Corps. So yeah, they often sent the information in the language of the Navajo. The first native code talkers served during World War One, as I've already said, yeah. using tribal languages to transmit messages that German eavesdroppers found impossible to decipher. The Code Talkers of 1918 made a lasting impression on the U.S. military. And again, they would end up being used again for their passing along messages in World War II. But yeah, World War I was the first use of them. You'll often hear of the Choctaw in World War I. The Navajo in World War II. So yeah. Yeah, all the services like the Army and divisions and companies and battalions, regiments, we just gave them clan names. Airplanes, we named after birds. Like the Buzzard is bomber, the Hawk is a dive bomber, and the patrol plane is a crow. And the Hummingbird is the fighter. This was what William McCabe, one of the Navajo code talkers in the Marine Corps, said. Because you don't always have names for these different divisions and battalions and planes. So, yeah, just to identify the type of plane, a bomber is a Buzzard. A dive bomber is a Hawk. A patrol plane is a crow, and the Hummingbird was used to describe a fighter plane. But yeah, this was that was information from the American Indian Smithsonian Institute, National Museum of the American Indians. So, just a mention of the code talkers there. Let's move along here. We're going to watch a video. This is from American Legion HQ. It is the final interview of World War II Marine Chester Nez, as he reflected on his place in history, and he was the last of the original Navajo code talkers.
Natoja Veltohan from Mishnah Enemy machine gun nest on your right flank destroyed. I am very, very happy to say that I'm the one, the original 29 Navajo code talk that was developed by the Marine. I'm very. This is a very, very secret mission that we were told about. You want to go? You don't want to go.
So yeah, Chester Nez, one of the original 29 Navajo code talkers in the U.S. Marines. He starts out giving you an example of the Navajo language that would be used, and then what it actually meant. Enemy machine gun nest on your right flank, destroy. Based on the speech he gave before. That was in Navajo, or Dine. Anyway.
I said, Uncle, anything that we did is one of the most important story. I am glad that I have went through the battles and everything. It's a very difficult situation when you go through the battle. I am very lucky to say that I came home safely. There's something that was very secret, and we couldn't talk about what we went through to our family. Everything was strictly secret.
Remember, we are in the 1940s, World War II. You cannot let any of this information slip out. Because there is just so much fear that tactics will be used to obtain this information in one form or another. So there's a lot that was held utterly secret. And even with everything that was going on here at home, because you got to remember, there's still a heavy degree of racist ideology running about. This is the 1940s, pre Dr. King, pre civil rights. There was a lot of racial hate. And I'm sure the natives suffered it just as bad as anyone else, as the African Americans. The Japanese who were internment, put into internment camps. Latin Americans that came across the border, whether they came legally, came seeking asylum. I mean, we see it nowadays with the racist and hateful bastards that exist. But yeah.
Spending my time.
They still, even despite all this that may have been happening at home, they did what they thought was right. They fought for the U.S. They fought as part of the Marines.
With the Marine Corps is one of the greatest I have experienced as a soldier. But how did they chose the Navajo to be selected as code talk? I think our language is one of the hardest things. I think that's the reason why they chose the Navajo's code talk.
Well, remember, the great majority of your Native American languages are going to be quite a bit different. You know, we mentioned it earlier, than European or Asian or African, where these languages had interactions with each other. Native Americans didn't have near the interaction. So, yeah, honestly, they were ideal for using in transmitting codes and information.
Code talk. All you Marines out there, wherever you are, I give you a lot of lucky mission. I hope wherever you serve, come home in one piece. As a Corporal Chester Nance, I'll send you guys that are out there. Semper Fidelis. Take care.
Semper Fidelis, which I believe is the Marines' motto. You often just hear Semper Fi, but I believe the full thing is Semper Fidelis.
And come home.
But yeah, we get to hear about a little bit of the experience from one of the original Navajo code talkers, Corporal Chester Nez. But yeah, let's dig a little deeper into this. This is from Wikipedia. Code talkers were a person employed by the military during wartime to use the little known language as a means of secret communication. The term is most often used for U.S. service members during the World Wars who used their knowledge of Native American language as a basis to transmit coded messages. In particular, there were approximately 400 to 500 Native Americans in the U.S. Marine Corps whose primary job was to transmit secret tactical messages. Code talkers transmitted messages over military telephone or radio communications nets, using formally or informally developed codes built upon their indigenous languages. The code talkers improved the speed of encryption and decryption of communications in frontlines operations during World War II and are credited with a number of decisive victories. Their code was never broken. There are two code types used during World War II. Type 1 codes were formally developed based on the languages of the Comanche, the Hopi, the Meskwaki, and Navajo peoples. They used words from their languages for each letter of the English alphabet. Messages could be encoded and decoded by using a simple substitution cipher where the cipher text was the native language word. Type 2 code was informal and directly related from English into the indigenous language. If there was no corresponding word in the indigenous language for the military word, code talkers used short descriptive phrases. For example, the Navajo did not have a word for submarine, so they translated it as iron fish. We mentioned this earlier. The bomber was called a buzzard. Fighter planes were hummingbirds. That kind of stuff. So yeah. The term code talker was originally coined by the U.S. Marine Corps and used to identify individuals who completed the special training required to qualify as code talkers with their service, indicating 642 code talker as a duty assignment. Today, the term code talkers is still strongly associated with the bilingual Navajo speakers trained in the Navajo Code during World War II by the U.S. Marine Corps to serve in all 6 divisions of the Corps and the Marine Raiders of the Pacific Theater. However, the use of Native Americans communicators predates World War II. Early pioneers of the Native American based communications used by the U.S. military include the Cherokee, Choctaw, and Lakota peoples during World War I. Today, the term code talker includes military personnel from all Native American communities who have contributed their language skills in service to the U.S. Other Native American communicators, now referred to as code talkers, were deployed by the U.S. Army during World War II, including Lakota, Meskwaki, Mohawk, Comanche, Tlingit, Hopi, Cree, and Crow soldiers. They served in the Pacific, North African, and European theaters. The Assiniboine or Assiniboine, I'm probably butchering the name, my apologies. Native speakers of the language served as code talkers during World War II to encrypt communications. One of the native talkers was Gilbert Horn Sr., who grew up in the Fort Belknap Indian Reservation of Montana and became a tribal judge and politician. We had the Basque language. That was probably World War II. Cherokee language, World War I. The first known use of code talkers in the U.S. military was during World War I, where Cherokee soldiers of the U.S.'s 30th Infantry Division, fluent in Cherokee language, were assigned to transmit messages while under fire during the Second Battle of the Somme. According to Division Signal Officer, this battle took place on September 1918 when their unit was under British command. Choctaw during World War I. Comanche during World War I. Also World War II. Cree, World War II. Hungarian. Okay. Meskwaki during World War II. Mohawk during World War II. Muskogee variations of both being Seminole and Creek were both in World War II. Navajo, of course, we've already talked about World War II. The 29 Navajo code talkers, we have a list of who they are. You notice a lot of them are Arizona and New Mexico. Arizona, New Mexico. Chester Nez is who we saw in the video. A number of them received Purple Hearts. Harry Saucy killed in action. Yeah. Navajo code talkers. Like I said, probably the most well-known of the Native American code talkers. Nubian, I guess it was just where there are people from other areas, but mainly we're looking at other code talkers. Tlingit, they, I believe, are more like, I want to say they're close to Eskimo, but the memory of 5 deceased Tlingit code talkers was honored by the Alaska legislature. Yeah, so They're like Eskimo. They're up in Canada, Alaska, so yeah. Uh, the use of Welsh language. It's showing some of the other languages that were hard to figure out. Winholnese, uh, used by the Chinese. Post-war recognition. But yeah, as we mentioned, there are a lot of different uh, Native American tribes and languages that were used. But yeah, um, but again, more mention of the different groups: Assiniboine, Cherokee, Cheyenne, Choctaw, Comanche, Cree, Crow, Fox, Hopi, Kiowa, Menominee, Navajo, Ojibwa, Oneida, the Osage, Pawnee, Sauk, Seminole, and Sioux. So yeah, I mean those are languages from all over the U.S. where the tribes used to be. Unfortunately, a lot of them got herded into modern Oklahoma. But yeah, Cherokee, um, the area I live in is very well known for Cherokee. They controlled pretty much Kentucky, Tennessee, and the western parts of Virginia and North Carolina, a little bit of West Virginia, modern West Virginia. So yeah, um, northern strips of Alabama and stuff. So, uh, you had groups out in the Southwest, Navajo, I believe the Hopi, Florida, where the Seminole were from, the Great Plains, the Sioux. Um, I'm wanting to say Cree and Ojibwa because I believe they were also up in Canada. But yeah, so they were native tribes from originally all over the U.S. Um, it's just that their words were so different. Like iron fish, meaning submarine in the Navajo. Uh, Beshlo. Uh, Daheti, hummingbird, meaning fighter plane, or Debalizin Zene, meaning black streak, meaning squad. But yeah, again, Navajo is probably the most well known by far. But there are other tribes and languages represented. Marine Corps was the most common to use them, but other groups did use the language, Army, so on. So, but yeah, just thought it would be nice to have a little bit of history behind the Native American code talkers of the two world wars and how much they contributed to, helping end the war, both wars. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end this episode here. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, Ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting these links in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.